to play whatever game he's wanted to play, he's been the best athlete. I had Randy at a very pliable time. He was a rookie with a chip on his shoulder.
There are plenty of legendary NFL receivers, but none have ever weaponized pure athletic defiance quite like Randy Moss. Before his name became a universal verb for humiliating a defensive back, he was just a kid growing up in the small, unincorporated town of Rand, West Virginia. Born in 1977, Moss was raised in a region heavily impacted by economic hardship. But from his earliest days, it was clear that he possessed an almost otherworldly physical gift. Attending DuPont High School, Moss wasn't just a football standout. He was an absolute athletic prodigy. He led the basketball team to consecutive state titles, sharing the court with future NBA player Jason Williams, and was named the West Virginia Player of the Year in basketball twice. On the track, he was a state champion sprinter in both the 100 and 200 meter dashes, showcasing the raw, explosive long stride speed that would later break the NFL. But it was on the gridiron where Moss looked like a human cheat code. He played multiple positions, including wide receiver, safety, kicker, punter, and return specialist, routinely carrying the DuPont Patriots on his back. By 1994, he was honored with the prestigious Kennedy Award as the top football player in the state. Parade magazine named him an All-American, and college scouts across the nation began descending upon the hills of West Virginia. Yet, despite his undeniable talent, Moss's path to the upper echelons of college football was heavily derailed. A high school fight led to a suspended sentence and the loss of his scholarship to Notre Dame. A subsequent probation violation cost him his spot at Florida State before he could ever play a meaningful down for the Seminoles. It seemed as though one of the most gifted athletes of a generation might slip through the cracks of sports history. Desperate for a second chance, Moss transferred to Marshall University, then a Division I AA program in Huntington, West Virginia. What followed was a historic two-season collegiate stretch that bordered on absolute fiction. Suiting up for the Thundering Herd in 1996, Moss immediately turned college football into his personal playground. In his first season, he caught 78 passes for 1,709 receiving yards and tied the legendary Jerry Rice's single-season record with 28 touchdown receptions. He led Marshall to a perfect 15-0 record and a national championship. The following year, in 1997, Marshall transitioned up to Division 1A, but the higher tier of competition meant absolutely nothing to Moss. He blew past standard defenses, hauling in 96 receptions for 1,820 yards and a staggering 26 touchdowns, setting an FBS single-season record. He took home the Biletnikoff Award as the nation's top collegiate receiver and finished fourth in a loaded Heisman Trophy voting race alongside Charles Woodson and Peyton Manning. By the spring of 1998, the NFL draft world was paralyzed by a singular debate. On tape, Moss was the most physically imposing, unguardable wideout to ever enter the draft pool. Standing over 6'4" with a vertical leap pushing 47 inches, he possessed a verified 4.25-second 40-yard dash. He could outjump 3 defenders at once, or simply glide past them as if they were standing still. Yet character concerns stemming from his high school and early college days scared front offices. On draft night, 20 teams passed on him. The Dallas Cowboys, who had heavily courted Moss, famously backed out at the last second. It was a slight that Moss would never forget, and one the rest of the league would spend the next decade paying for. With the 21st overall pick in the 1998 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings stopped the slide, drafting Randy Moss and pairing him with veteran quarterback Randall Cunningham. The impact was instantaneous, violent, and completely altered how modern professional football was played. In his very first Monday Night Football game against the division rival Green Bay Packers, Moss caught 5 passes for 190 yards and 2 long scores. The Packers front office was so traumatized by the performance that they spent their first 3 draft picks the following year exclusively on defensive backs. Later that season, on Thanksgiving Day, Moss exacted his revenge on the Dallas Cowboys, catching just 3 passes, all 3 of which went for touchdowns of over 50 yards, totaling 163 yards in a historic blowout. Moss finished his 1998 rookie campaign with 1,313 yards and an NFL rookie record 17 touchdowns. He was named a first-team All-Pro, won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and spearheaded a Vikings offense that scored a then-record 556 points. For 7 seasons in Minnesota, Moss revolutionized the wide receiver position. He popularized the hand-up technique, raising his hand to signal he was open while the ball was barely leaving the quarterback's hand, fully aware that even tight double coverage could not stop him. Between 1998 and 2003, Moss averaged over 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns per season. However, escalating tensions with team management, combined with a fluctuating quarterback carousel after the departure of Cunningham, led to a drop in production. In 2005, the Vikings shocked the sports world by trading the superstar to the Oakland Raiders. Moss's 2 seasons in Oakland were marred by injuries, a severely dysfunctional team culture, and struggling quarterback play, leading many analysts to believe that the era of the Freak had officially come to an end. In the spring of 2007, New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick made a low-risk gamble, trading a 4th-round draft pick to Oakland to acquire the supposedly past-his-prime receiver. Paired with quarterback Tom Brady, Moss did not just revitalize his career, he put together the most explosive single-season wide receiver campaign in the history of the National Football League. Fueled by a desire to silence his critics, Moss became the focal point of a historic, vertically explosive Patriots offense. Defensive coordinators tried everything, rolling safeties over the top, bracket coverage, and physical press at the line of scrimmage, but Moss simply ran past them. The peak of this historic run came in the final game of the 2000 regular season against the New York Giants. Trailing in the 4th quarter, Tom Brady launched a deep pass down the right sideline. Moss adjusted his stride, left his defender in the dust, and hauled in his 23rd touchdown reception of the season. With that single catch, Moss broke Jerry Rice's single-season touchdown record, while simultaneously helping Brady break the single-season passing touchdown record. The Patriots finished the regular season with a perfect 16-0 record, and Moss earned his 4th first-team All-Pro nod, finishing the year with 1,493 yards. Moss spent 3 highly productive seasons in New England, proving that his football IQ and route-running precision were just as lethal as his younger raw athleticism. Though his subsequent years featured brief late-career stints back with Minnesota, the Tennessee Titans, and a Super Bowl run with the San Francisco 49ers, his status as an immortal gridiron icon had already been set in stone. He officially retired from the NFL after the 2012 season, finishing his legendary career with 982 receptions, 15,292 yards, and 156 receiving touchdowns, the second most in league history. Following his retirement from the field, Moss seamlessly transitioned into a highly successful secondary career in sports media, spending years as a prominent, charismatic studio analyst for ESPN's Monday Night Countdown. His sharp gridiron insights, paired with his trademark catchphrases, made him just as popular behind the microphone as he was on the turf. In 2018, his impact on the sport was officially immortalized when he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his very first year of eligibility. However, recent chapters of Moss's life have demanded a different kind of resilience. Moving into 2025 and 2026, Moss quietly faced his toughest opponent yet when he was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer located in the bile duct between his liver and pancreas. For 9 grueling months, the man who once effortlessly outran elite athletes was confined to his home, undergoing intensive chemotherapy and radiation treatments. But true to form, Moss fought back. By the fall of 2025, his cancer was officially declared to be in full remission. Emerging from that health battle with a profound, renewed appreciation for life and nature, Moss has channeled his energy into a lifelong personal passion: competitive freshwater bass fishing. Today in 2026, he's turned this hobby into a booming third career. Serving as a high-profile ambassador for World Bass Enterprises, Moss is actively working to help mainstream and unify the professional angling circuit. Furthermore, he's currently filming an outdoor documentary series titled Chasing 10, where he tracks down elusive 10-pound largemouth bass alongside celebrity guests, while custom-building boats to auction off entirely for the Children's Cancer Research Fund. Randy Moss's story began in the rugged hills of West Virginia, defined by a level of raw athletic dominance the world had never seen. And while his legendary deep route highlights will forever be preserved in NFL history, his present chapter proves that his true legacy isn't just about how high he could climb to snatch a football. It's about how gracefully he continues to navigate the waters of life. If you want to dive deeper into the stories of the greatest athletes to ever play the game, make sure to click the video right here and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another breakdown.